Yeah, man, I love it. I mean, I had a similar upbringing, growing up in the UAE and Dubai. If you had good ideas, no one was interested. If you had crazy ideas that made people's stomach go sick, then people would listen to you. We used to have these beautiful like quotes on billboards in the morning. We would drive to school, and there would be quotes from Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum that would say, "Do you remember the name of the second person that landed on the moon?" And I'll be like, "Oh, that's a really good question." I don't, because I know Neil Armstrong, right? And the point of that message was, you come first, and second is for losers. That was sort of the attitude we grew up in the UAE, and you can see what we have done and the country we've built, right? So I'm all on board with that. If you've got a spare ticket on your bus to need somebody to cheer on you, get to the moon and Mars, you give me a call anytime you want. Um, moving on. Moving on. Just in the space of like, accelerating all of these things, licensing, safety, you got to be on top of safety, operation of new plants, and testing, all that stuff. Are you exploring artificial intelligence tools that can, do renewals fast, that can, remove any bottlenecks and maintain safety? Are you using AI to do any of the work that you do?
Absolutely, and I love that question because it's one that I'm also passionate about. Uh, you know, I'm a power user myself of frontier AI models. I use all of them. I pay for all of them. I use all of them. I use them for my personal life, right? The uplift that frontier models has provided me personally has been, really really fun. Uh, but I have for the past few years, and I started an initiative last year, looked at how do we actually look into taking advantage of, frontier AI, not just to uplift, but to actually transform how we do nuclear reactor deployment. And so we've been thinking about this now for a little bit over a year. And then the separately, late last year, the president signed an executive order directing what's called the Genesis mission, which directs the Department of Energy to really embark on an effort to take advantage of AI, and with the goal of doubling the productivity of science and engineering within a decade. So very, very ambitious, not just about nuclear, but about accessing and tackling challenges of significant importance to the Department of Energy. So that's on the energy side, national security, and on the discovery and science side of the house. And so
Yeah.
on the nuclear side, we were ready. We said, look, we've been thinking about this, and here's how exactly we're thinking about it. We want to take advantage of AI to deliver nuclear that is cheaper, faster, and safer. And the
Yeah.
way we want to do that is, I mean, everybody says that they're doing AI. There's a little bit of a shotgun kind of approach, but we want something transformational. And so we said we're gonna focus, and we're gonna work with industry, and we're gonna work with our national laboratories, and we're gonna take advantage of this Genesis mission that's also looking to deliver a platform where you can tackle these challenges that has not just the singular scientific data sets that we have, that industry has, but a platform of compute that's powerful with the experts that we have. And we're going to look at five things that we're going to try to transform:
Okay.
design of reactors, licensing, manufacturing, construction, and autonomous operation. And it's not
Wow.
just
Wow.
it's not just let's transform each of these, which we can. And I'll,
Yeah.
I'll point to we published a milestone article about some work that we've done with industry on just how fast we can accelerate some of the licensing work. And it's really, again, not an uplift. This is transformational. We're talking about, a 20x decrease in timeline that it takes to prepare a specific licensing document. So our goal is, if we can have transformational agentized workflows across each of those, imagine what can happen if then those agents are working together. So you have, the agent that's doing the design is also the agent that's doing the licensing, that's telling the manufacturer how to do the construction. And then when you're doing operations and you have issues, right? These are all agents that have been working and talking together, right? That's a very, very ambitious goal, but you can imagine if we can get to that point where it's not just siloed humans, there's humans in the loop, but you have frontier AI that's helping transform all of these across the board and working together. I mean, our targets, and again, you have to be ambitious to your point. Our targets are: can we reduce the operational costs of nuclear, let's say within the next 5 or 10 years, by 50%? Can we accelerate the time to construction, by 2x? Right, not just a small uplift in Copilot, but changing the game. So we just put out a request for applications under the Genesis mission, to try to work with industry to see, all right, what are your proposals to do this? This is our vision. what can we do together? And so we're just starting this journey, but I'm really, really excited about it.
That's awesome, man. It's funny in the start, you said that you want to meet the private companies halfway. Listening
Yeah.
to you now, I feel like you're way ahead of them in terms of your ambitions and how you're accelerating all of these. They have to catch up to you. You have to tell them you guys need to do more innovation and you need to produce more stuff, which is really, really cool, exciting, and it's very unique. And I think it's a credit to you and your team. And you're very active online as well and everything you do. Moving on some of the other things I want to talk to you about. Let's focus on fuel a bit. I think fuel, I'm sure you would appreciate, is the creation of the fuel, the supply of the fuel, the handling of the fuel, the spent fuel, the supply chain, the materials. Where is your research on fuel? And one of the fun discussions I have on my show, all these different startups come on and say, our fuel is better than your fuel. We're doing thorium molten salt reactors. And by 2100, most of the energy from nuclear will come from thorium. And so they all like go at each other, which I love. It's an open market, right? Everybody can
Yeah.
compete. What's your thoughts on fuel? Where are you at with your research, and how are you approaching fuel?
Yeah. So I, because I oversee the nuclear reactor portfolio, I'm kind of the end user of the fuel. There's a separate deputy assistant secretary with fuel cycle in his title, and he's great. His name is Josh Jarrell, and so they
Awesome.
oversee the R&D for fuel. But for
Okay.
me, we support all the reactor concepts, including those that have a lot of these advanced fuel forms. And I think for me, the market will ultimately decide not on the fuel, but more importantly, right, what is the technology that is needed for different applications, right? So I mean, I've seen reactor designs, that are really, really simple. Everything's off the shelf, and things that are quite advanced, and they all have different characteristics and attributes, and so I think for me, I'm really excited to see the market, as they think about down selecting these technologies. So for us, I mean, we work closely with our field colleagues to say, look, we want to make sure at least uranium is available, right? At least uranium, because I mean, almost all of them use uranium. I'm excited that the Department of Energy put out $1.8 billion for high assay low enriched uranium. A lot of the SMRs and the majority of the microreactors use high assay low enriched uranium, right? If you're going to go smaller, you need a higher uranium density. And so, we don't have that capacity in the United States, and that investment will help ensure that it exists. So we're unlocking bottlenecks on the enrichment side of the house. The department's also making plutonium available for industry. And then on the fuel fabrication side of the house, one of the bottlenecks that we saw, including for the reactor pilot program, is there is not a large level of throughput for advanced fuel forms. Let's take TRISO as an example. A lot of the microreactor companies and SMR companies, many of them use TRISO as a fuel form. We have done R&D in TRISO for decades in the department out of the other office. But the production capacity in the United States is quite limited. And so we actually use DOE authorization. Similar to the reactor pilot program, we stood up a fuel pilot line program to enable quickly an ability to get DOE authorization to make fuel not for commercial purposes, which is what the NRC focuses on, but to be able to fuel these test reactors that we have. And so, for me, excited about the enrichment capacity that's coming online, excited about enabling the fuel fabrication capabilities for different advanced fuels.
Yeah.
And we think that that was such a powerful tool that we just announced recently, and we're about to put out the request for applications for what we call Launchpad, which is take the reactor and fuel line pilot program and codify it into one enduring program, which is if you want to be able to get DOE authorization for a test facility, whether it's a reactor or a fuel fabrication facility or any type of the fuel cycle facility, here's a quick way to get through those technical and regulatory milestones. And so for us, we see those tools as enabling for the fuel side as essential to be able to unlock, ultimately what is needed